video that I wanted to bring to you in regards to some tips and tricks and things to look at when considering profitable orders and trying to deal with the gas slowdown. So I think there's one important factor that all of you need to consider, and when you're looking at the orders, that can help you get through this and help you still make plenty of money. Now, as you know, gas prices are a huge thing right now, and obviously it's one of our biggest expenses when it comes to considering whether or not it's profitable for us to be out here doing what we do. So the first thing you need to do is you need to understand what is your gas cost, and you need to understand the formula to do that. So the first thing you're going to need to do is fill up your tank, all right, and then what I want you to do is use the trip monitor in your car and find out from start to finish, from when you fill up to when you fill up again, how many miles have you actually driven? Not what your car tells you, but actual miles driven. And then I want you to also understand, all right, what is your gas tank, right? So once you have that information, you can then calculate exactly what your cost per mile is, and that is going to be very, very important. For my car, being a Prius, it's about 7 cents a mile. For most people that are not driving a Prius, it's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 11 cents per mile. You can use 10 to 11 cents per mile if you want to do that, and that is, okay. So once you've figured that out, now what you're going to do is you're going to figure out, okay, what is, let's say, a 10-mile order, okay? So 10-mile order, it costs, obviously if it was 10 cents, it's going to cost you about $1 to do that order of gas expense. If it's 7 cents, it's going to cost about 70 cents per 10 miles. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to look at, all right, what is your dollars per mile right now? So if you're not already collecting data on this, you're going to have to go out and start collecting that data. Again, I have sheets that I use to do that. My average right now has been about $1.20 a mile. That's just my overall average for the year. So I can use that information there, knowing $1.20, and say, okay, so if I'm using 100 miles, if I'm going to make $100, right? And I'm going to say, okay, how many miles is that going to take? That's going to take about 83 miles for me to drive. Or we're just rounded up for an easy number to deal with, because 83.33, I'll just round it up to 84, all right? So if I know that it's costing me 0.07 cents, so 7 cents a mile, that means I know $5.88 is going to be my actual cost, okay? Now what I do is I like to take about 50 cents an order and put it aside for car maintenance. That's what I do. It's a flat fee, and I'll raise it if I need to, or lower it as I see fit. But I normally will do that, and that gets set aside for every single order. So the way I can look at this is I can say, okay, if I've made $100, normally that requires me to do about 12 orders, so that's about $6. So I'll add another $6. So what I know is it's going to cost me about $12, okay, to make $100. Which means I'm really going to walk away with $88. Now I also know $100 I'm going to have $58.50 to take out of every 100 I make, because that's going to be my mileage deduction, and I use about a 25% formula, so that's about $41.50 times 0.25. I'm going to set aside another $10.37, or I'll just round it up to $11. And we're going to say, okay, so the cost per 100, which is what I want you guys to figure out, my cost per 100 is $23, which means I will net take home about $77 for every $100 that I make. So the question is, how do you deal with that cost per 100? Where was it at last month? Where is it at this month? And you should always be looking at your cost per 100. I think that's a very, very, very important number, because of the fact that $100 to me is the metric that any gig person should be looking at. How fast can you make $100, and how much of $100 am I taking home? Because that's where it all counts. So if I'm making 300 in a day, I know I'm going to take home about $77 per 100, which means I will be taking home roughly about $154 per $200, and I'd be taking home about $308 per $400. So I know, is that profitable for me to be out? Absolutely it is. Is that going to make me enough money to cover what I need? Absolutely it is. But it's going to allow you to figure out where you're at. Now, your cost per 100, obviously, if your gas cost per mile is higher and it's 10 or 11 cents, it could be a lot lower than that. And then you have to kind of determine, okay, what do you need to do and how do you do it? Number one, what are you going to say? You're going to say your maintenance cost is 50 cents per order. At least that's what I use. Therefore, that is what we call a set cost. So therefore, you can offset that by percentage of orders by getting larger orders. So what that's going to tell you is where do you need to fall in? How large does your order need to be, and where does your mileage breaking point need to be at? So that will help you set what your order ratios are. So for instance, if it's costing you $1, if it's costing you say 12 cents per mile, and you say, okay, I want to, and I would like to have my ratio of $75 per 100. You can backtrack from that, and that will tell you your order size and your mileage amount that you need to do. And will help you to understand where you need to be at. Then you can go out and test that information against your market and see if your market is workable. If it's not and you can't earn that, then you have to make a decision. Is what you're going to be able to earn, where does it fall in, and where can you make your money at, and how fast can you make your $100? Everything should be based around testing your $100. $100 is key. So the question is, how fast can you make 100? What's your ratio? In other words, what are you taking home against $100? So if you're sitting there taking $77 in for every 100 that you're making, and you can make $100 in 3 hours, well then you can make $200 in 6 hours, right? And then you can say, okay, well I'm going to be walking away with, $154 for 6 hours of work. Is that worth it? I think it is, right? And at the same point, you're putting away maintenance money, and you're also, of course, going to have to be refilling your car. But that is what you need to do. This market right now is, the gas prices are always going to be an expense, whether they're $4, $2, $5, right? And the most important thing you have to do as a business person is say, okay, it doesn't mean you quit. It just means you make adjustments. If gas prices are lower, you can get a little more aggressive. But you have to question and ask yourself, your profit margins are the only thing that should take a hit. So in other words, let's say if you're already, for instance, for myself, I average about $12 an order. That's my average overall so far this year. Actually, my average last month was $12. My average was $14 the previous month, and for the year so far, it's been about $13.20. So what does that tell me? That tells me that how many orders am I doing to make 100? Well, that tells me that at $13.20 per order, I'm doing about 7 orders, which means to make my 100, I'm doing about, we're just going to say 7 orders. That's about $3.50 expense per 100, okay? Because I'm setting aside 50 cents for each. Now, I'm driving about 12 miles per order, okay? And I know that because I keep track of it. So then that is an expense of about 84 cents per order. So you take that times 7, and we say $5.93 plus $3.50. I have a $9.43 expense per 100. That's an excellent ratio. I'm taking home before taxes over $90. Now my tax rate on that is going to run me about $11 per 100. So that means I'm bringing home roughly about $80 and some change per 100. That's a great ratio. And that's for the year so far, of course, with mileage costing at $7.07 per fill-up. Now, it used to be lower. I used to get around 5 and 6 cents per mile, and obviously I made a little bit more. But that's also another reason why the car you're driving, what your gas mileage is, and all of that makes a tremendous difference to your bottom line. But to me, when I'm looking at that, the gas at the pump doesn't matter. You've got to understand your numbers. And that's what I would encourage all of you to do. Understand your numbers. Understand what you're making when you're out. Document all of your information. Do not get caught up in the negativity, and have a positive outlook. Focus on what's important. And what's important is the first 100 you make today. Then you focus on the second 100 you're going to make today. And then the third. And you try to do it as fast as possible in the amount of time that you have allowable. And if you fall a little short, so be it. Figure out where you could have done better. Figure out what your average order size is. Figure out what your average miles was per order. See where the adjustments can be made. Come back the next day with a different strategy, adjusted. Maybe you need to go a little lower orders. Maybe your market, maybe you need to do a higher volume of orders, which does mean your expense category is going to go up if you're using a fixed expense method in order to set aside money per order for auto maintenance, like I'm doing, 50 cents per order. However you want to do it. But the point is, make sure you know your numbers, guys. That's what this is. That's what's important here. And that's what's going to tell you whether or not this is a profitable situation for you or not. Once you start getting into those numbers, once you start understanding that, once you start looking at what you're doing, it's going to help guide you and tell you, okay, listen, I need to increase my order size. What I would tell you right now, the biggest thing you're going to do, that everyone needs to do, increase your order sizes, okay? That's going to drive the market up. Remember, we are market setters. In the end, we set the market. When we pass on an order and it moves on to the next dasher, yes, that next dasher benefits, or that next Uber Eats driver benefits, or that next GrubHub driver benefits, but we all benefit as a whole, because what we are telling is we are telling the algorithms and the systems exactly what the market is for those type of orders. So the next time it comes around, they may start that order at a little higher. They may start that order at a little bit of a better price, and the price improves for everyone. So we're not talking about just arbitrarily declining things and doing all that. That doesn't necessarily work. What we're talking about is providing feedback to the market so that the market can make proper adjustments, and doing it in a thoughtful manner that makes sense. And when we're providing that feedback, we all become better because of it. Now, there is going to be people that are going to exit, and that is a positive thing. Because what that means is it leaves behind a market that's still going to be there, that the experienced people who know how to do business, who know how to work properly, who know how to work smartly, are going to come in and take advantage of it. And we can continue to set the market, continue to set the standards, continue to operate smartly, and we can profit off of even the high gas prices. So guys, leave me some comments on your thoughts. What is your average per mile gas price? Figure it out. I'd love to hear it. Put it in the comments. What is it costing you to drive around? And what is your ratio? How much are you bringing home per 100, guys? Figure it all out. Figure those numbers out. Collect your data, and you'll be fine. Everyone will be fine. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off here. Hopefully you got something out of this. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. Also, hit that subscribe button. I've got much more content coming out, more ride-alongs, more tips and tricks, more strategies. And also share it with someone who you think could benefit from this information and from the reflections of a driver that has been driving now for close to a year and completed north of 1,500 total deliveries in my lifetime. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll be talking to you real soon.